Hi guys, I'm Nick Bester and I am a 2:19 marathoner, and apparently according to a few comments that I've seen, introducing myself as a 2:19 marathoner sounds quite a bit faster than a sub 2:20 marathoner. So hey, let's go with that for a little bit. Today's video is all about, what's coming next, what my next goals are. I'm also going to talk about what I consider when setting goals. So hopefully you can take some of these bits and pieces away and when setting goals for yourself, take some things into consideration. But before I speak any more about that, we have some celebrating to do. On this channel, we've just hit 40,000 subscribers. So if you're watching this and you're a subscriber, thank you so much. You absolutely rock. If you're watching this and you're not a subscriber yet, then just be a legend and smash that subscribe button. But yeah, if you've been following my journey, you'll know the last few weeks have been a little bit crazy in my world. I just want to speak through exactly what sub 220 meant for me and what life's been like since breaking it, and what we're targeting going forward. I worked towards a sub 220 it was my 7th attempt. I do pretty much 2 full sends a year. It was 3 years in the making. In those 3 years, it was about 20,000 kilometers of training that I'd envisioned breaking sub 220. It was my 7th attempt, which meant that about 295 kilometers of racing for that moment. And when you have so much drive towards a certain goal, and you eat, breathe, sleep it, and really prioritize it in order to get there. When you get there, it's the sweetest feeling ever. It's like the more you fail at something, by the time you get there, it just feels so much sweeter. So it was like the highest high. I promise you, I know whatever happens in my running journey going forward, I'll never hit a high like that, just because it almost became such a personal thing. And it's incredible sort of, documenting my journey, how many other runners it's helped out there. It's part of why I do it. Sorry to digress a little bit, but funny story. I was at a train station the other day, just listening to music in my own little world, and the train marshal ran towards me, and I thought, oh my word, what have I done now? Is he going to give me a fine or what's going on? And pretty much he was like, gave me a high five, and he's like, boom shakalaka, you broke 220, and I was so happy for you. And I was like, that's awesome. The amount of sort of recognition from other people that I've received since breaking it has just been incredible, and that's what it's all about. Together we grow. But anyways, so coming off that massive high pretty much 2.5 weeks ago at Berlin, there's a thing called post-marathon depression. Okay, so basically you sort of get obsessed with this goal that you have in mind, train super hard. Your race day comes, whether you execute an amazing race or don't, sort of that feeling and that drive that you have is no longer there every day. And, I've done over 100 marathons in the past, so, I know this feeling, and I'm a coach that deals with, my coach athletes on a daily basis pretty much. And I know that post-marathon depression is definitely a real thing. So, do you know what? I was prepared for this moment, and coming off the massive high, it's sort of like, I feel like a part of me is now completed it, but incomplete because I don't have that daily drive all the time. When that comes, okay, cool. It's time to set new goals. It's time to work towards something new. It's time to enter a few more races, not straight away. Don't do anything too crazy. But it's good to have them scattered throughout the calendar to keep those motivation levels there and to know you're targeting something. I then got thinking, it's time to set a new goal and new goals going forward. I did celebrate for about 2 weeks properly. But I'm finally ready to get stuck in, ready to get healthy. The body feels like it's firing on all cylinders, completely niggle free. And I feel like I've leveled up significantly since moving to Winchester over the last 5 months. And if I continue with this routine, I can continue to level up. And like I always say, if you don't believe, then no one else will. So when I did my first ever marathon, I did it in 3 hours and 17 minutes. That was 11 years ago. I was 23. I'm currently 34 now. So I've been training consistently pretty much since then. And it's almost like a massive personal thing to me now that I would love to run a 2:17 something. So knock off a full hour from my first marathon time to the marathon time that I'm targeting now in my future PB, let's say. I know it's obviously a bold ask, and I think if I'm going to do that, then I pretty much need to PB in all distances, my key racing distances leading up to the marathon. So over the 5K, 10K, half marathon, and marathon. For the 5K distance, I want to target a sub 14:30. My PB currently is 14:34, so we've got 5 seconds to find there. Come on, it's going to be achievable. Then the sub 30-minute 10K. That's probably the hardest of the lot. So my 10K PB at the moment is 30 minutes and 46 seconds. So 47 seconds to find. You know what? I did that sort of in a marathon build, and it wasn't a target race. I feel like if I really target the 10K distance, we can get there. We have to believe. But that's probably the hardest of all 4. In the half marathon distance, I want to target a sub 66. So I've got a 66:19 That was at Cambridge half, so I need to find 20 seconds. In the marathon distance, I ran 2:19:45. If I want to run 2:17XX, then I've got to find 1 minute and 47 seconds. So it's literally come down to a matter of a few seconds here and there and a couple of minutes here and there. But you know what? The margins have become so tight. I'm not going to change too much within training. I feel like if I just stick with the changes I've made going forward, then it definitely becomes a realistic thing. But the proof will be in the pudding. A massive thing sort of going into my favor at the moment is that I really thrive in winter. In the colder months, I run so much better. So it's like added motivation. Like I need to get in shape in order to try and hit these goals. But you know what, for the past couple of days, it's for the first time I've been training with these new goals in mind, and I feel like that just really sort of helps you level up within training. It keeps you focused and just brings out the best in me. And I think, you know what, if I don't achieve another PB ever, like I will be satisfied. I think breaking sub 220 was such a big thing for me that, you know, in my grave one day I'm going to be there smiling. So everything I achieve going forward now, it's just a bonus. But having said that, like I'm so motivated in order to try and get there. And you know, I'll always document the journey and sort of give my best training tips as I go along. So hopefully you can learn as well. So now onto things to consider when setting goals for yourself. I think it's important to be, you know, bold but realistic. Often someone will message me or chat to me and say, you know, what am I capable of? I'm currently a 4:30 runner. Can I run a sub 2:30 one day? You know what? There's no easy answer to that. I think the proof will be in the pudding. And there's only one way to find out, and that's to go all in for a consistent period of time in order to get there. So I think it's really important to set smaller targets on routes. When I first started running, my marathon time was 3:17. I then sort of like shaved off and quite a big chunk initially to go to sub 3, and then about, I don't know, 5 minutes year on year. And I never ever got ahead of myself. I always thought when I ran a 3:17, I was broken, guys. That last 10Ks, I wanted to curl up and cry. And I was like, never ever again. I thought I could never ever go faster. And that was actually a downhill marathon as well. So had you told me back then one day you'd run a sub 220 marathon, I would have laughed at you. There's absolutely no ways. Like would have been almost impossible for me to believe that. But just by aiming for small win after small win after small win, it's incredible when you look back at it and it just adds up. Keep your goals realistic, and I think it's good to have a long-term goal, but it's really important to set mini goals en route and sort of set time targets to know that you need to hit in order to get there. And if you miss them, it's fine. You know, you learn so much more from those missed ones. They keep you motivated. If you smash it, cool. Or maybe be a little bit more bold in the next time. But keep them realistic, because if they become unrealistic, often then it can become demotivating if you don't hit it in training. Just to touch base a little bit more on that, I know, you know, my all-time running hero, Eliud Kipchoge, he's saying no human is limited. And I love the guy to bits, but I think, you know, with that saying, I see why he says that, because you want to, you know, install belief into someone, and someone that believes is dangerous. But at the end of the day, we need to be realistic as well. And every human is limited up to a certain point. For example, if I try to replicate his training, and my sole goal was to get faster in the marathon distance, and that was it. There's no ways I could run a sub 2 hour marathon. That's just impossible. I mean, we're only talking 20 minutes, right? What's 20 minutes between a few friends? But it's like a world of difference. And you know, you got to find out what your limitation is. And I think in my case, once again, when I, you know, had 7 attempts at breaking 220, finally got there. Now I'm like, okay, cool, on to 217. How realistic is that? I think it's very realistic, because if you look at, you know, over the past 5 months, I went from a 222 something to a 219 something. So I managed to knock off 3 minutes from my second last marathon to this marathon. And like I said, not too much more needs to change. I spoke about my changes in a previous video, and if I just stick with that going forward, then I think that, you know, I can significantly level up. So like I said, just keep aiming for those small wins after small wins and celebrate them. Enjoy them before setting the new goal, because often what I've seen happen is someone work towards it, they get it, and then straight on to the next one they go, and they don't actually take time to enjoy it and celebrate each achievement. Like running is so hard for all of us. So if you get to your goal, it's incredible. There's no guarantees. So you just need to celebrate it. Then the other thing to consider as well, and someone asked me the other day, they're like, what is the sole difference, you know, from going from a 3:17 marathon to a 2:19 marathon? What's the one big thing that sort of like got you there? And I said consistency initially, and then I was like, that is such a boring answer. Like, yes, you've got to be consistent, but you just hear consistency all the time. And, you know, it is the most crucial thing to training. But actually, the one thing that got me there the most was wanting it badly enough. And I can't reiterate how important this point is. Like, you're going to go through phases where you're going to get injured. There's going to be niggles. You don't feel like getting out the door. And if you really want it badly enough, you'll find ways. You'll cross train, you'll do extra strength work. And there might be a few bumps there's definitely going to be a few bumps in the journey, but by constantly wanting it bad enough, you'll sort of do things in a way to try and make you level up. If you set a goal and you kind of want it, but you're not sure, then I promise you on those 50-50 days or those harder days, they just don't get you out the door. So you got to really sit down with yourself and think about, cool, how badly do you want it? And I know in my case, I set these goals and it really drives me to my limits in my training. And I take that work ethic in training towards life. And running has just taught me so much from that point of view. So hopefully it can for you too. Cool. So hopefully that helps you. Please do me a favor in the comments below. Let me know what your next goals are. And when you absolutely smash them, go and give them a boom shakalaka so I know you got there, and just drop a little line on exactly how you did, because I find so much motivation in it myself. But yeah, like I said, full hour off my marathon time. In order to get there, I'm going to embrace Operation Speed 2.0. So if I look at my weaknesses, it's probably like my 3,000 meter speed, and I don't come from a track running background. So I really need to try and snap out of that comfort zone, do faster reps than ever before, which means slightly longer recoveries in between, and then really ramp up from that 5K PB to 10K to half marathon and marathon. So massive few months and year coming up. But if we don't try, we'll never know. And like I said, if you don't believe, no one will. So I truly believe, and it's going to be so hard. It's going to push me to my limits. There's going to be easy times. There's going to be hard times, but I will be sure to document it all. My next full set marathon is London Marathon. And to me, Berlin's a little bit quicker than London. So, if I go 2:17 there, it'll be incredible. But if I PB and sort of head in the right direction to that 2:17, that would also be amazing. But you know what? I don't want to think too far in advance. The proof will be in the numbers, and I'll be sure to document the training along the way. Races coming up. So I did enter the Valencia 10K in January. But at the same time, I haven't booked my flights. I've got family commitments, so I'm not sure just yet. I know it's obviously a stacked and really good 10K. And then I've entered Cambridge Half. It's obviously a special one to me, having won that 3 years ago now. Feels like quite a while, but at the same time, I really thrive in that cold, sort of faster course. So I'll be targeting a PB there, and then obviously London Marathon's the sort of spring marathon. Cool. I can't wait to share it all. Thanks for supporting once again, and let me hear all about your goals. Boom shakalaka, let's go get it.